Tonight's subject is part 2 in how to taste wine. There are 4 parts. I added a 5th part, which is going to be false. But tonight is part 2, and week 2, or part 2, and it's going to be about the smell, the nose, you know, in which I consider, I mean, there's 2 parts of tasting wine, 2 aspects, I should say, of it that's very important. And this, I consider the probably first important, because it's the initial introduction, you know, to the wine. You know, the wine, you take that sniff and the wine says, hello, I'm here. And you say, well, hello, how are you tonight? You know, so that smell phase, and it sets up so many different things. You know, so I'm going to cover some things, you know, make sure you have your tools, your wine notes. The wine notes are loaded, or just a sheet of paper to take notes on. And you notice it is a white sheet of paper, so I'll be able to do that first step. You know, also I mentioned about having some aroma jars and or cups. So I have my jar set up here. I have 4, 8, 10. I have 10 jars set up here on my end. You know, but I recommended you have 6, and I gave you some suggestions of what to put inside of your jars. As you can see, I had the lids on them so it can keep the scents inside. And now I'm opening lids now, and oh my God, the complexity is just phenomenal. I can smell so many different things. You know, I grab for myself, and I go through what I put together for my scent analysis, or nose analysis over here. So I put together various different scents, aromas. You know, and while I'm using the term aroma, how about I cover some just simple groundwork here? You know, definitions: bouquet and aroma. When we think about aroma, you know, this is what we think about when it comes to wine. Think about the simple fruit quality of the wine. You know, I mean, if I'm not smelling fruit in the wine, then what is it? I guess unless it's a vegetable. But if I'm not smelling the essence of what it is, then okay, maybe there's an issue. Who knows? Second thing, bouquet. Bouquet are the complexities, you know, the complexities that derive from the winemaking process, whether it be barrel aging, whether it be part of a blend, you know, those different things. You know, sometimes it's a blend with fruit and grape. You know, so sometimes it's just a blend with different grapes. You know, so it adds a different complexity, you know, to the nose. And oftentimes you hear bouquet and aroma used interchangeably. So if I do that today, you know, I'm speaking one and the same. You know, I'll try to keep it as clear as possible. So now to my aroma jars here. You know, again, I have various things in my aroma jar here. This one here is just a blend of spices and herbs. You know, because when it comes to wine, you smell so much. And you notice that I'm going to go through my aroma jars first. And if you're set up, I recommend you go through your aroma jars first, so that you can already have your brain set up for different things you smell. You know, and while I'm smelling, I mean, I know what's inside my aroma jar, but it's just amazing to just smell it. I mean, this is, you smell the smoke because there's smoky paprika in there. There's chilies in here. So you get the little spice. There's onion. That smoke is really coming through from the paprika here. There's some herb in here. In this case, it's going to be oregano. But, you know, you can just pick out the different things, you know. And these are actually good exercises for yourself. Because oftentimes people are asking, I don't understand how they can come up with that smell in the wine. Well, you know, when I think about wine, I think about smelling and tasting wine, I relate it to food. You know, because with food, you're in essence doing the same thing with wine. I mean, think about it. We receive our plate at home in a restaurant. Boom, there's a plate. We look. It has visual appeal. Oh my God, you know, it looks nice and clean. The plate, the decoration is nice, or the plate setup is nice, you know. Look at the sheen on that sauce. You know, we talk about so many different things that we're looking at, you know, and then we're coming into the smell. From here, we can just smell the food, or we can smell the food around the restaurant. You know, before our plate even arrived, we think, oh my God, it's going to be fantastic. And depending on what street you're driving down, some of your fast food places, you can smell the food coming out. You know, good, bad, or indifferent. You can smell it. You know, so you in essence go through that same process that you do with food, with wine. Get the connection, that connection is going to be important. This is just the fundamentals for down the road when we begin to speak about food and wine pairing. So that was my first aroma jar, which is a blend of spices and herbs. Wow, that just smells so good. And then my next is going to be dried cherries. You know, well, why dried cherries and why not fresh cherries? Well, I didn't have any fresh cherries on hand, so I had some dried cherries. I decided to use those. That's one reason why. However, when it comes to smelling wine, there are many, many different things that you can smell. You know, when you stick your nose inside the wine glass, and depending on the wine itself, you know, its structure, how it was made, what was intended for the wine to be, you know, you can pick up so many different things. And so in this case, I grabbed some dried cherries. It doesn't mean that's what my wines are going to smell like. And now here is just herbs, just a blend of different herbs. Oh, wow. So you get, I can pick up the mint, basil, oregano, and the dill is really, really faint. I knew the dill was going to be kind of strong, so I didn't use so much of the dill. I mean, so you can pick up, I mean, just the different complexities. So I'm getting my nose and my brain ready for when I may begin to smell the wine. And now I have in here a dried strawberry. I'm sorry, not a dry, but a strawberry. Fresh. Wow. I mean, with the strawberry, I can smell it from here. But I'm putting all of these scents in my memory for when we move on to the wine and begin to decide if I could pick up any of those. And again, going down the line here, this is going to be, let's see if I can smell without looking. Ooh, cloves. You can never not know the smell of cloves. All right, so we have cloves. This here, because I know what it is, I can see it. A cinnamon stick. I don't know if you can see that right there. So I have a cinnamon stick in here. All right. Here's almost clear. What could that be? Vanilla. Just a little drop of vanilla. It doesn't have to be strong, because when you're smelling scents in wine, the clues aren't right in your face, you know? So we have to train ourselves to smell deeper into the wine. Ooh, interesting. All right, coffee. You see, between these two powders, I don't know if you can see that, I can't tell you what they are, so that's where the smell comes in. So that's coffee grounds in here. Coffee grounds, and it's kind of peppery, so I may have mixed in some black pepper grinds. I didn't sneeze, so I got just the right amount in there. And now here, oh, it's going to be lemon. So that's a lemon peel representing some citrus. And then last but not least, oh, that smells like, you know, like sweet fruit. Wow, and it's pineapple. I mean, it's almost like a combination of pineapple and vanilla and cream. Wow. Almost butterscotch-like, but this is, I know this is a pineapple. So hopefully you had the chance to go through your scents, you know, and we'd love to see in the comments, you know, whether it's happening right now or happen when you sit down and have a chance to go through or watch the replay. You know, type in your comments what aromas you use, if you didn't use the ones that I suggested or if you added more. So I went through my aromas, my different aromas, and now my brain is set. As I said, the nose is probably the most important part of the wine tasting, or the first important part of the wine tasting process, because if it doesn't get past the nose, then it's not going anywhere. Also, the nose begins to set up what you can anticipate that you're going to taste in the wine. Now tonight, I have for you, I did both white and red wine tonight. You know, I know what they are, but I'm not going to say what they are, you know, but just one white, one red wine, and I went through my aromas. And so now I'm going to smell the wine, give you the process that I go through in tasting wine. But I'll go through this sheet again here. I have, when we actually get a chance to smell the wine, and we're smelling for character, okay? You know, is it a good smell? Is it a bad smell? You know, we're trying to determine, just like if you taste something, as soon as you taste, you're saying to yourself, you know, before evaluation, do I like it or not? which is nothing wrong with it, because now when you actually break it down, begin to evaluate the wine, you can see if your opinion is going to change. So it's the same thing here. I'm going to smell the wine. Does it have a good smell, a pleasant smell, or is it just okay, or is it just a totally bad, funky smell that I can't get into it? It means if I can't smell it or tolerate the smell, I'm probably not going to tolerate the taste. And then sometimes it's worth taking the risk. What if you just open the bottle, and there's breathing, So now we open the bottle, we pour some wine in a glass, and it's getting aerated. But that first initial pour, it smelled kind of like stuffy. Well, you'll be kind of stuffy too if you're shoved in a bottle with a cork in it and kept in a closet or some type of wine cave. So you need time to breathe. Become one with the universe, and that's what the wine's doing when it's breathing. Then we're smelling for intensity. The wine. How intense is the wine? If I just hold the wine is sitting here. Can I smell the wine? Well, right now my wine's competing with my different aromas over here, but I'm smelling something, but it also may be a combination of the two. Also at the bottom of this sheet here, I have a list, and it's just a partial list. There's just so many things when it comes to different aromas as far as what you'll taste and what you'll smell when it comes to wine. It'll have a selection of vegetal or floral aromas, nuts and spices, sweets, earthy and woody. So if you've printed out the wine notes, you'll know exactly what I'm speaking of, or you may be looking at it online. I have different fruits, and then I have other aromas. And other aromas are pretty interesting because they have things like leather, yeast, tobacco, coffee, and we had coffee over there. Because sometimes the unobvious things are what you're going to smell as well. So you not only can just only think about, okay, this is obvious, I smell citrus, in the white wine. Sometimes you can pick up notes of citrus in the red wines. Interesting. Now, I also want to say this to you, that when it comes to evaluating wine, okay, it's all subjective. What you smell, what you taste, what you enjoy, what you do not enjoy. It's all subjective. What I may like may not be what you enjoy. What I smell may not be what you smell. And that's the beauty of wine. So you can't be wrong. If you think you can't, you will be wrong, but you can't be wrong. Now remember, you have your inside of the group, inside of the files, and I have that master folder, master file, which is pinned to the top. There's a list of the different grape characteristics for both Wisconsin grapes and just some general grapes, for wines that are made all over the world. So you can use that in conjunction with smelling the wine and noticing if you pick up any of those character traits in your wine. Okay, so now let's start the process. Here's what I do when I begin to taste wine. All right, so now remember what we did in part one. Part one, we took the wine, we held it over our white sheet of paper, and we looked at the wine from the rim back down to the base and checking out the wine's color. Okay, we're also looking at, if you have some light, looking at it and noticing, are there any type of floaties in the wine, whether it be cork, whether it be tartaric acid, are there any bubbles in the wine? Now, this is the same wine, the white wine that I had last week. So this is going to be interesting, completely interesting as to what this wine is going to smell like a week later. Okay, it doesn't smell bad because I can already smell it. So now we're looking at the wine. Giving you the color analysis, you want to do that, okay, it's clear towards the top, becomes a golden yellowish color as we get down to the bowl. It has some sediment in this particular glass here from setting up in the refrigerator, so not too bad. Now for the smell. I can smell that wine here. So what I do when I'm smelling wine, of course, here's where that swirl comes in at. All right, so if you're an experienced swirler, swirl away. Okay, left hand or right hand. If you're not experienced, you can set your glass on the base of the table. Use my hand here. Set your glass on the base of the table, on a table, hold it by the base, and spin clockwise or counterclockwise. And what we're doing now, in this case, always speak about or hear about, you have to protect the wine from the air when the wine is being made. Now, at this phase is when air or oxygen becomes your friend. Okay, when it's in the bottle, and just in the cork's in, you don't want air inside the bottle. You risk the wine being oxidized or turning into vinegar. Who knows? But now that the wine is out of the bottle, the air is our friend. So we have the swirl. Now, the purpose of swirling the wine, this is kind of cool on the video, huh? The purpose of swirling the wine is to agitate the wine, you know, incorporate air into the wine so that all of the esters and the aromas in the bouquet, it all becomes agitated. And so when you smell, it all jumps out at you. So I smell my wine in like 3 phases, okay? That first phase is here. Let's check out the intensity, okay? I can smell the wine from here. My nose it's nowhere completely inside of the glass. But I can still, the wine is intensity on its aroma. This is the white wine. Wow. Remarkable. So now I go from there, another swirl, okay? And I put my nose in. My first initial smell, I'm going to do it at an angle here so you can see. My first initial smell into the wine, it's going to be quick. You know? And what I'm doing there is I want to know right away, are there any faults that exist? Okay, does it smell off? Okay, and that's that part, that phase of, is it a good smell, is it a bad smell? I want to know right away, does it smell off? Okay, this wine is fantastic. Does it smell off? Now, I go in for the smell to begin my analyzation of what I smell. And when I do that, I take in long, slow inhales. I count for about 8 to 15 seconds myself. You decide for yourself. But I give the aroma of the wine a chance to just truly go up inside of my nasal passage, get all the way back to the retronasal so I can start registering what I'm smelling, okay? And when we talk about registering what you're smelling, you're talking about equating it to different aromas or different smells that you know. Now, here's the key. Begin to build your database of smells. Smell everything. Believe it or not, you're using your nose many times throughout the day. Even when you're sleeping, your nose knows. And nothing knows what the nose knows. So again, that nose is always working. So let's start getting it fine-tuned. Smell everything so you begin to build your database of the different smells. So that's how you notice all the wine tasters, they can rattle off some of these different things that they smell in wine because they find a relationship that's in their tasting database, okay, or their smell database. So here we go for the first smell. Wow. Amazing. I mean, this is a focus concentration phase here, okay? Now, at this point, I'll begin to write down what was my first initial impression of the wine. First initial, okay? And I'm going to go here. And then I'm going to go here. And then I'm going to go, oh, I forgot already. You see how quick it goes away. And that's why you find that you'll keep smelling the wine. And I tell you, on this particular wine, my first initial nose was, oftentimes we say nose or smell, was butterscotch. Then it rolled into citrus, okay? But citrus was the last, but there was a mid part that I forgot what it was, okay? So we'll go again. This is the white one. So that mid smell for me was a stone fruit, okay? And if I had to select a stone fruit, I probably would go, in this case, with peach and maybe pear, okay? So it was just like that. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's what you smell, what you equate it to. So that was the white wine for me. You know, I went down, as I took this smell, I'm going down my list of the different things here. I'm thinking about what I smelled over here. And in fact, I'm going to do this for you. With the different aromas that I have over here on my side. I'm going to show you. So citrus, I have here. So now that's pretty intense, that lemon. So it's not lime, it's not lemon. I could even go a little orange. I probably could use orange zest, which would have been really nice for this. So we're still going to say citrus, but I'm going to go between orange and lemon. The pineapple I smelled earlier, that's exactly what I get here. So we're talking about a wine that has a tropical aroma to it as well. And then I don't have any peach and apple, but let's talk about a spice on here. And nutmeg. Now I said butterscotch, but if I were to blend this vanilla and pineapple, it kind of gives me what I'm looking for when we talk about butterscotch. For me, for my nose, the vanilla and the pineapple together. It's almost candied. Now for a spice, I'm looking at cinnamon. I'm going to stop at cinnamon. So for me, and utilizing my aroma jars, this is what I came up with, for my white wine. I thought more of a orange zest with hints of lemon, but more orangey to me. I came up with pineapple, a little bit of vanilla, so it makes it more tropical, creamy tropical, and then cinnamon, and then a little peach and a little pear, So that was the white wine for me. It's just that simple, So I'm curious to know what you smelled in your wine. All right. So now let's move on to the red wine. Okay. So that was the white. Now again, as I said to you, what you smell sets you up for the taste, and that's in part 3. All right. But feel free to taste your wine. Now I'm going to go to wine number 2, the red wine. Quick whiffs. Okay. Make sure that I don't have an off smell in the wine. Okay. Sometimes you have to do it twice. Okay. All right. Now, my first initial smell, so that was number 1. Number 2, my first initial smell is going to be a short inhale. Sets up my impression. All right. And now I'm going to write, for me, I'm going to write down for the red, I got berries. I'm going to go with dark. Specific? No, right now, just whatever came to mind right away. I'm going to go with a little smoke. Okay. And spice. What's specific spice? I don't know yet. Okay. But this is just that first initial round. And now I'm going to take that long, deep thought of a smell. Now, here's the kicker. You must get that nose inside the glass. Notice my glass, it has a tapered top, okay? So it's not a wide mouth. It has a nice shaped bowl. In fact, it kind of goes like this. So what happens, it works great for swirling, but all of the aroma is concentrated and focused to come up to the narrow part of the glass, okay? So here we go here. Oh, wow. I mean, when you take that long, slow inhale, there's so many things that happen, with the wine. All right. So let me do this one more time. So now I can write down. I was just so enamored by the smell. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to, think about writing. So here we go. All right. So for berries, I'm going to go with black and red raspberry. Smoke stays the same, okay? But in addition to smoke, I'm going to say with a little char. So there's a little char there, barrel char or wood char, okay? And for spice, let's go again. Sometimes you may have to smell the wine more than once, more than 3 times, and that's okay. I'm going to go all spice on the spice. Okay. A little pepper. I'm going to go white pepper. Okay. And then there's a subtle caramelization here. Okay, so now for my red wine, here's what I have. You know, and looking over my sheet here, let's make sure I'm not missing anything here. See, it changes as the wine begins to adjust to the temperature of the room. You know, it begins to change. I mean, my first initial smell for the vegetal character, it was like red bell pepper, red pepper. Okay, so let's go with that. So here are my outlines. I'm going to go one more time. That's what. So there is complexity here in this wine. It just keeps evolving. But the first initial taste, just to give you an idea, my first smell, and I did the quick smell, and then the second smell was red pepper, which rolled off into berries. I went for blackberries and raspberries. Spice, I picked allspice. You know, there was a lot of different spices going on, but more, you know, closer to just being in the allspice. And then pepper, I went with white pepper. And then for the smoke, there was a nice little wood char that you can smell, you know. And then smelling it from here, as you get closer, I can pick up, that's where the smoke came in at. But when you go deeper is when I pick up more of the subtle sweet char of the wood, you know, which in turn translates to that caramelization that I get. So that was for the red wine. So you can see how easy that was. Okay, so again, if you have any comments or any questions for me regarding this smell phase, now is the time. Or please, when the broadcast is ended, you can write your questions in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them, or let's engage in the conversation. So again, now our white wine, and sometimes I like to do this, is smelling both wines together. But you can see how simple that is. It can be as detailed of a description as you would like it to be, or it can be as simple as a description as you like it to be. So you have your aromas. Remember your setup. You have your aromas constantly, daily, you know, or anytime you're around something that has a smell, you know, get a smell and put it in memory. And think about those things when you're tasting wine. And then in a hint for food, which is most important, remember what you taste and remember equally what you smell in your food. So my white wine, both of these wines had intensity. Both of these wines had complexity on the nose, and the evolution is just remarkable. Especially on the white. The white becomes more citrusy, more tropical as it warms up. Because I took it straight, I poured it straight from the refrigerator. All right, well, that will conclude our broadcast for tonight about the smell. I look forward to our next broadcast in which we'll be discussing the taste, you know, and the tongue, the taste, I consider the second most important part of wine tasting. Remember, no one knows what the nose knows, because the nose always knows. Let your nose guide you to that particular wine, but then let your palate be the guide in determining whether or not it will be a wine you will enjoy. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time on Wisconsin Wine's Guide, How to Taste Wine, and we'll be going into part 3. I'll look for your questions and or comments below. Thank you. Bye now.